So I'm going to go through some Hsrp in this lab right here. I already have the basics configured. You take a look at switch 2, interface gig 1. I have the IP address on there, 192.168.161.15. I have my standby group 3 IP. For that I'm going to use .30 and have the preempt command. Switch 1, fast Ethernet 1, set up .14. Standby group 3 IP is the same IP, .30. Also have the preempt command on there. So we'll start with setting up priority. So let's take a look. Switch 1 is currently the standby router. It currently has a priority of 100. Let's look at switch 2. Okay, so switch 2 looks like it's the active router. Now it too also has the default priority of 100. So if this one is the active, if we were to go on to switch 1 here and give it a priority higher than 100, it should transfer to being the active router. And it should do that immediately because we do have preemption enabled. So I've entered the preempt command, so let's try that. Standby group 3, priority. So if we make it 110, it'll be 10 points higher than switch 2, and it should transition immediately to being the active router. Okay, it is now the active router. Its priority is now 110. So we know the priority command and how that works. The next thing I want to do is set up tracking on an interface. So we could imagine all of our hosts are plugged into switch 1 and switch 2. And we could imagine that switch 1 and switch 2 then are plugged into a core router. Okay? Now, if the connection between switch 1 and the core router goes down, that's not going to force switch 2 to transition into the active router because it's basically only looking at fast Ethernet 1 here. It doesn't know what port we're using to connect to our core router. We haven't told it to watch any other ports. But if that connection to the core router did drop, all of our hosts would be stranded. So let's go ahead and set up that tracking. Let's set it up on switch 2 here. So on switch 2, I have gig 24 going to our simulated core router. Okay, so it looks like we have these commands all set up on gig 1, so let's go ahead and add the track command on there. Standby group 3, track, and we're going to go for gig 24, right? But what we really need to do is set up a decrement value. So if you take a look right here, let's try this. Standby group 3, priority 115. That should go ahead and make switch to our active router. Priority is 115. Active router is the local router. Okay. So it looks like it automatically set it to decrement by 10. So if our priority is 115, right, configured at 115, and we drop down by 10, that'll take us to 105. So if switch 1 is at 110, and we're at 105, PAL switch 1 becomes the active router. So let's take a look here. Gig 24 is up. What I'm going to do is go ahead and pull the plug on switch 24. Okay, we're active. We're at 115. 24 is up. Okay. I just pulled the plug. Okay, 24 has transitioned to down. Okay, we've transitioned to 105 as our priority. Okay, so it knows that the active router is 110. We're at 105. If we were to run that again, it would probably figure out, okay, yeah, it's figured out it's the local one. So switch 1 is at 110. We are now at 105. Since our connection to the core dropped, all of our hosts are now routing through switch 1, just like it's supposed to.